Today we are going to try out our new wheel, which is the Fanatec ClubSport steering wheel RS. The reason why I have a new wheel is because the old one, the WRC branded wheel, did not support anything more than 8 Newton meters, which was a huge disappointment. I really like that wheel, even though it's a really basic wheel. I like the looks of it, and yeah, nothing really wrong with it. It was just fine, but for some reason or other it just did not support anything more than the 8 Newton meters, so basically I had no other option than to get a new wheel. But it's fine. This new wheel looks really great. It's so sleek, and especially since the buttons do not have any caps or stickers on them, they look really good. The wheel in its whole does look really clean, but it does pose a bit of a challenge to understand what each button does in game, and for some reason, even though this wheel costs like 100 euros more than the WRC wheel or the McLaren wheel, it doesn't include any button cap. It doesn't include any stickers. For example, the McLaren wheel came with both stickers and exchangeable button caps, so what gives? I don't know. Since the McLaren wheel came with the button caps, I took a couple of those and used them in this wheel, so I have easier time to figure out what each button does in game. The WRC wheel was 300 millimeters. This is 320 millimeters, so it's slightly bigger. That might take some learning. I would assume that since it's slightly bigger, the force feedback would also be slightly softer or less. But then again, we're going 4 Newton meters higher with the torque, so I don't know. We'll see. The buttons do feel good. There's 2 joysticks on the wheel, one on each side. The one on left side is like freely moving. The one on right is more like a D-pad, and you can also use it as a button when you press it down. Unfortunately though, when you try to press it, it might move around the menu before it actually accepts the press. Most of the time it's fine, but every now and then it just seems to switch to a like different menu, so that's a bit annoying.
Starts 50, square left.
Buttons they're slightly farther away from my hands. The reason I chose snow stage, to me the force feedback in snow stages felt a bit too soft, or like there wasn't enough of it. Let's put it like that. There's a really big difference on how the snow stage feels. I definitely feel a lot more with this wheel because of the higher torque. The small effects are much more noticeable now. I'm gonna drive a gravel stage as well after this one. But you can certainly feel a lot more now. The size of the wheel, I don't really notice any difference, really, which is kind of surprising, because I was expecting it to feel like too big in my hands. And I do like the LEDs on the top showing the RPM. So easy to now to see when you should switch gears, because I don't have to glance there anymore, because I can always see it on my vision. What? I can constantly see it. I forgot to test the paddles. It doesn't matter, we're gonna try them in the next stage. So now we're in Kenya, which is sort of my go-to rally when I want to try out new things. This time I'm using different car and default setup. Not sure if that matters, but let's try the paddles. Oh.
Turn, one left, unseen.
They feel really good. I think these are the magnetic paddles. These do feel good. Too bad I won't be really using them at all. Or maybe if I ever decide to drive a car with a round wheel in Assetto Corsa or ASM2, the difference is certainly noticeable going from 8 to 12 Newton meters. Especially on those like smaller effects, driving on rocks or the texture of the road. I think it's more present with this wheel. And the jump from 8 to 12 Newton meters, it is more noticeable in this game than it was in ACC. Not sure if that's down to the wheel I was using or the game. We should try out tarmac as well quickly. I hadn't driven this stage with this car before, so new personal best. Sure, that'll be hard to beat. Let's move on to tarmac. This is starting to be quite hard to turn.
Slowing, long crest, and 3 right.
There's a
Late
lot of
right,
resistance
shorter
in the
crest,
wheel now.
4 left, tightened,
And
left
there
crest,
probably would
20,
be even more if I tuned the car and
short,
like lower it
50.
to the maximum amount you can lower,
70,
which I
50,
usually
short,
do when
5
I'm
right,
driving on
5 left
tarmac.
of the crest, 70.
Yeah, the wheel is... it's really stiff. This is going to function as a workout from now on, which is great. Yeah, I think I've gotten enough. It's been a couple of hours between this moment and the previous clips you saw. I've been trying to familiarize myself with this wheel.
Turn square right.
My initial impression is that I like the wheel a lot. It certainly didn't make me any better of a driver, especially when I'm trying to talk at the same time. But this has been mostly just me testing out the wheel, not trying to get any top times or anything, just wanted to feel the difference between this and the WRC wheel. I do like the feel of the paddles a lot. The buttons are not as accessible as they were with the WRC wheel, but that's a trade-off I'm willing to make, because the wheel itself feels really good. I like the size of it. I think it is better now that I've used it a bit. I really like the rev lights on top of the wheel. I'm trying to think what to say, what else to say about the wheel. I think this is leather instead of Alcantara, or however you're supposed to pronounce it. But overall, I'm really happy with this wheel. It looks absolutely fantastic. The buttons feel good, better than in WRC wheel. And I think the buttons are actually better in the McLaren wheel than they are in the WRC wheel. I don't understand why this one button has this protective cover around it. I do have misclick when I'm trying to use the D-pad joystick on the right hand side to accept things in game. So I think I might just have to resort to using the different button. The wheel feels really solid, sturdy, so I think this will last quite some time in my use. Look at that driving, it is absolutely beautiful. That was my initial impressions of the Fanatec ClubSport Steering Wheel RS. There will be a full review of this wheel when I've used it enough. That will be far in the future. It will take at least 50 to 100 hours for me to even think about making a review. I don't know what to say, so no more talking, follow me.